Hello everyone, I'm Yuri from Mouse, and we are here in week 4 of the GT Spin series, and we're at a new entry to the Spin series, I believe at least, since I've been doing lap guides. We're at the Sachsenring, a very short, tight circuit in the east of Germany. Will be very tough to overtake, I predict, so this qualifying will be crucial, and let's get over how to nail the laps around here and the lap guide coming up. Alright, here we are at the Sachsenring, one of the lesser famous circuits in Germany. In the Ford as usual, full fuel as usual, and hot tires as usual. Let's try to get a representative lap in. It's a short technical track, so quite tricky. Like just before the curb on the left side here. And I try to use first gear for the rotation. Try to keep it tight. Don't go over the curb on the inside here. Careful for the rear stepping out on the entry or the exit. And get your rotation done in the middle of the corners here. That out on the downhill. Try to open up left-handed as much as you can in the back. Small lift here before the second one to go back flat. Immediately after. Should be easy flat on the downhill right. And brake just after the white line. The rear is going to be on the edge here. Careful with the off-track on the exit. Brake just before the white line. I try to get a nice exit from the last corner. That's the lap around the Sachsenring. Alright, so let's take a closer look from the outside cab. Let's zoom in a tiny bit. There we go. And we'll see how we get around here with a bit more detail. Turn 1 I like to extend, meaning I'm going over this part here, the black part. It's not really costing me any grip braking on this. And then because we're kind of braking not in a straight line, like I usually try to do, is I try to come from the left side, turn a bit before I'm braking. And then when I'm braking, I try to go as much in a straight line initially as I can. That way we can brake the hardest without having to turn the wheel, because the more we turn, the more we have to get off the brake or into the ABS, which you don't want. Then at the end, we start trail braking. And this first bit here on entry, I like to keep it in first gear, especially as well because the track starts falling away a bit. It's very easy for the front tires to lose grip before the rears and start understeering. So I found that going to first gear a bit on the entry here really helps with the rotation into the corner. And then by the time I want to go back to the throttle, I move it back to second gear and get the car fired into the left-hander here. This corner is kind of tricky. If you go into the corner too slow and you need to be a bit on throttle, you'll have a lot of understeer. So what I tried to do is have a good exit from turn 1, and then in the middle of the corner here, suddenly go off the power, maybe even tiny bit of brake to keep the car rotating and get my car towards the inside here when it matters. Under the curb. Because what you don't want to happen is if you understeer there and if your right side tire clip over this curb on the right side. You can get close to it, right side tire on the curb, that's fine. But if you go over it, especially into the grass, you're going to lose a lot of braking performance into the next corner and the car just really won't rotate, won't stop, and you're going to lose a lot of time. So as long as you're on it, that's fine. And again, the way to be on it, I find is suddenly going a bit off the throttle, putting the weight on the front axle. Get speed of rotation in the middle here to avoid the car going wide here. Brake early here, and you could do a similar thing like turn 1, going into first gear. But I found that the track doesn't really fall away here, and the rear's already a bit on the edge, so I keep it in second just fine. And then you just have to be patient. I like to run a bit deep in the middle and then back tight towards the exit. Then this corner, while learning the track, caused me a lot of issues. I don't think that the line here is going too wide into it. I just like to have a nice exit from the corner the hairpin the right-hander. And then when I see this curb here, I want to come in and get most of my rotation done between the first and second apex. That means going off the throttle a bit here, letting the car roll in, and then trying to get that rotation done right from here to the exit here. And before we're on the curb of this last one here, the last apex, we want to be back on power and let the car run wide like it wants to do itself. That way we have a nice exit from here, and this left down and left hander should be just about flat out. And then we can use all of the runoff here of the green parts of the next part of the track, as long as we're not in the gravel. So we want to make use of that. Same here, use a lot of the extra on the right side. Left side tires need to be on the curb. And where I'm braking is about the white line, but I'm not really looking at the white line here. I'm looking at the apex at the small braking zone, so it doesn't really matter that much exactly where you brake, as long as you hit the apex here with the right angle and the right speed. And that's important because you want to carry that speed up the hill. The first apex here, the left-hander, is flat. You don't really want to take the apex to keep it a bit wider for the entry into the second one though. And then what I found works well is a small lift on the entry, get a bit of rotation in the car, and once the car starts rotating, back on the power, because the left-hander and the right-hander afterwards are both flat. And then we get to this very tricky left-hander. And the reason I say it's tricky is that you don't really see where the apex or where the exit is from this point on the entry. It's not really a straightforward corner, it keeps tightening a bit, and it just feels awkward. So I want to brake just after the white line on the right side here, and then slowly release off the brake and having quite a lot of trail braking into the corner to keep the car from understeering. So at this point here, we're still trail braking. The rear of the car will feel very light. Because we're trail braking a bit, the weight will be on the front axle. The rear will be very light. Because again, we're trail braking. If you don't get this trail braking right, this corner will be quite a lot of understeer. And then you want to wait apexing, and it feels like an apex is very late. Can't even really see where the exit is yet. It's very hard to see where to go. So you need to trust that where you've learned the apex to be. You'll go back on the power without really seeing where the exit is. And the exit is very close to the off track on the right side here. You want to avoid hitting the gravel on the right side here, because there will be an off track. You want to be right on the limit. That way you maximize the track, maximize the corner before, and maximize the exit. Then into the last corner, I'm braking just before the white line. Careful of not overshooting the corner. And then down 2 gears, and you can go back on the power quite early, and you need to be, because it's quite a slow corner into quite a big uphill. So you want to carry the speed. Again, you want to be close to the gravel on the outside and carry the speed up the hill to finish a lap around the Sachsenring. Alright, so let's have a look back on Delta, and I specifically want to see the first section here. And you see, I'm lifting tiny bit of brake in the middle of this corner here to get that weight on the front, to make sure that the car stays tight. Small bit on the brake on the downhill here. If you're braking too much because we're turning, the rear will step out. Careful on the power. Like I said, on the exit, the rear still wants to step out a bit. And then into this top of the hill, this double left-hander, I just go quickly off the power, putting that weight on the front and trying to help that rotation a tiny bit with the brake, and not using this brake really to slow down. It's there for the rotation. And then from the middle of the corner, I want to slowly go back on the power. Normally you don't want to go down on the power. I felt like the car couldn't quite handle it here. Normally you want to see this go up one way to the exit and then flat out of the section. So this is the key section of this track. If you nail this, you'll get a lot of time on your opponents. Alright, there we go. Another very tight but rewarding track around here. It opens up quite a bit towards the end, even though it's a short lap time. It will be very hard to overtake though, because all the fast corners will be hard to follow very closely. Qualifying, as mentioned in the intro, will be very, very crucial. Hope after this you learned how to nail the laps and get it done. If you want to see more lap guides like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see everyone next week for the next lap guide.